ETSU still committed to being a mid-major basketball power? That's the question I'm, Marky Bilson, asking today. So far, the last 2 months have been a disaster for ETSU basketball. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I think, oh, there'll be a losing season next year, but it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher to consider this team as a repeat Southern Conference champion. A winning season? Sure, I can see that. The cupboard isn't necessarily bare, but nobody's returning as a starter, and now it comes out that Jalen Johnson, who I never was really that impressed with as a transfer. I mean, he couldn't start at Tennessee, mediocre Tennessee team last year. What was he going to do for ETSU? Sixth, seventh man, maybe? That's kind of important, but, I think the people that were excited about Johnson coming to Johnson City were more the people that really believe ETSU is subservient to Tennessee. And, oh, we're getting a Tennessee Volunteer on the Buccaneers. How wonderful. Well, you're not really getting one that's tremendously talented. I mean, you're not getting the savior of the program. You're not getting Bernard King here, okay? That's, let's figure that out. Look, 3 players now have said basically that they no longer think ETSU is on the right path. They no longer think that ETSU is going to be a mid-major basketball power. That's why Bo Hodges, Jalen Johnson, and Davian Williamson are no longer part of the program. I don't blame Steve Forbes for this. No, better job, pays you more exposure, absolutely go take it. I don't blame the players for leaving. What's good for the coach is good for the player. But I do blame the administration. We'll never know if the roster could have been completely shored up if Jason Shay was hired the day following Steve Forbes' departure to Wake Forest, but it would have helped. He could have gone to a Bo Hodges or whoever and immediately shored up those relationships with his current roster, and it also would have sent the message that we think that ETSU is on the right path, absolutely. Instead, they considered other candidates that they would have had to have paid more, ultimately, than Jason Shay. The other thing the administration did, they gave Shay a 3-year contract instead of a 4-year contract, and that doesn't signify a strong faith in your new hire. It just doesn't. What to do to get on the right path? The first thing, stop doing these ETSU things. And it's like, it comes out, well, Johnson isn't going to play on the team, but they recruited Truth Harris. Now, Truth Harris put up some really nice stats at some prestigious high schools in New York. And in fact, as a sophomore, his team in Mount Vernon won a state championship, averaged more than 21 points a game, 8 assists. I think that's the big thing. But here's the deal. He's 6'1" and weighs 165 pounds. Now, I'm sorry, but if you are putting a 6'1", 165-pound freshman at the point to start next season at ETSU, playing 25 to 30 minutes, then the Buccaneers are in some serious troubles. Yes, maybe David Sloan can get the waiver coming from Kansas State, maybe with 2 scholarships now available, some other point guard, say a JUCO, could be, recruited, this sort of thing. But, yeah, Truth Harris is a nice prospect, perhaps, but he's a project. And, yeah, if they've got to put him on the point, his freshman season, that doesn't look good for ETSU. So here's what you do to stop being so much a perennial SoCon contender and take the next step up, if you're the ETSU Buccaneers, to being a real mid-major powerhouse. In the lines of, everybody thinks Gonzaga. The ETSU's got a long way to go to become Gonzaga, but taking steps towards that, and taking steps in which that a national ranking isn't something you manufacture. We're number 26 in the coaches poll, except it only goes to 25 spots. Now that you could actually make one of those 25 spots. Okay, this is what you got to do. First thing, Jason Shay, 2 things you got to do. Number 1, find good assistant coaches for your vacancies. It's been a month. Why hasn't there been 2 more hires in all this time? You know, I got to think, I mean, I got to be skeptical about his abilities because, quite frankly, I'm thinking, geez, I mean, he just signed for 4 years with a coach that only has a 3-year contract, is only guaranteed to really be there 3 years, and then he doesn't know who his assistants are going to be. I mean, that's putting a lot of faith in Jason Shay. Maybe that is a good thing, but then again, you start wondering, wouldn't other places, such as Old Dominion, that was interested in him, why didn't he go there? You know, I mean, what's the situation there? Again, maybe Harris saw, they're not going to have a point guard. I could play right away. It's a possibility. But still, got to hire assistants. There's been this talk about Greg, and I think I've got his name right here, Heiar, Heiar, LSU. Read about him, good recruiter. The problem is, he actually makes $300,000 base salary. Jason Shay makes $250,000 base salary. Oh, there are incentives, and he gets a car and all this sort of stuff. But, yeah, going to be a pay cut if you bring in Heiar from LSU to ETSU, and that's not going to look good for the assistant coach to be making not a lateral move, but a step down as an assistant coach. It may be a good thing for ETSU or not. Here's a guy who's coached under Larry Stacey. If he goes to ETSU from LSU, you got to wonder if he's trying to avoid these NCAA infractions and penalties and all this. So it's been more than a week since it's been said that he was a candidate. Why hasn't he been brought on yet? What are you waiting for? You got to get this, the worst thing in the world to do is, well, I think if I really hold out, I can get the homecoming queen to go to the prom with me. Now, I got to break it to you. She's going on a football captain. Okay? I've been a big proponent of Mr. Jennings. I don't know of anybody who could sell ETSU more, who could suggest to recruits, hey, you can make the NBA from ETSU because, hey, I've done it. And for that matter, teaching point guards, he was a pretty good one. So I like Mr. I've been campaigning for that. Who knows? I would have thought that if that was in the cards, he would have been hired by now, though. What's taking so long? Second thing you got to do, Jason Shay, as the ETSU head coach, quit calling your former bosses Coach Forbes, Coach Pearl. No, you are not their subordinate anymore. Don't come off as one. It's Steve. It's Bruce. You're their contemporary. And it's very important because when you're doing this whole Coach Forbes, Coach Pearl, it really does make you and the program look small. Look, you're going to be competing for players with Steve Forbes, Bruce Pearl, and basically every other coach in Division I. And you cannot afford to come off as lesser in front of these recruits or really your own fans. So, it's like you're still the pupil. No. Now you're the coach. Act like one. Enough with this Coach Forbes, Coach Pearl stuff and all that. It's Steve, it's Bruce, and you've got to show that you're a leader now, okay? Now, the third thing, this comes from the administration. I say this all the time, but start making some inroads. Start laying some groundwork. Start sending out some feelers about a new arena in the Tri-Cities, be it in Johnson City, on campus, downtown, centrally located, between all the Tri-Cities, but do it. Absolutely. Well, let me put it this way. By the time Truth Harris graduates, assuming he plays 4 years at ETSU, Freedom Hall is going to be 50 years old. Small. It's on a high school campus. There's nothing around it. It lacks amenities. It's got good sightlines. That's it. You are not going to be a mid-major power playing at Freedom Hall. It's just as simple as that. I know you say, what about the 30 victories last year, Marky? Aberration. All right? Aberration. to really be a team that can win 30 games every year or have the potential to do so, you have to have the facilities. An old, decrepit facility on a high school campus is not the way to go. And it probably isn't the cavernous mini dome either. But if you start putting out some feelers, talking to the local leaders and all this, this could be a big thing for the community, because you're not just talking about having some of the best facilities in all of college basketball if you're talking new arena for the Buccaneers, but you're talking about, if you build it right, not like Freedom Hall with too little floor space, but if you build it right, more pro sports coming into town, say a hockey team, indoor football, that sort of thing, as well as, let's say, the truck pulls, certainly the concerts, the circuits, events. You're bringing in events to the area for the entire community, not just the sports fans and not just for ETSU basketball. That's a big thing. That's where you can get a lot of extra money to build it. Don't waste $15 million fixing the roof at an obsolete Freedom Hall, which ETSU has done in the past. You've got to be able to do that. And frankly, the area doesn't really think ahead. They don't think to the future. How long have I been talking about AA baseball team in the Tri-Cities? Well, now the Appalachian League is going to be going away. I look pretty good with that. You know, all those years I said, you know, happy league. I mean, it's just sort of this, not terribly well run, and a lot of mom and pop there, and, you know, the better talent in AA, and we could have a team like that for all the communities instead of the high school mentality of Johnson City against Kingsport. Bottom line is, if you think playing at a rather small, old facility without many amenities, as I said before, on a campus of a high school is the answer, then ETSU might be able to be a SoCon power, but they'll never perennially be a mid-major power. And 2 months ago, it looked like they could be one. So those are the three things. Hey, Jason Shay, hire some assistants as soon as you can. Make sure they're good. Start with this Coach Forbes stuff. He's Steve now. And also, community leaders, ETSU administration, new arena. Really, it should have been done about 17 years ago when ETSU started building facilities, but they decided that they'd rather have, you know, softball fields instead of real facilities that would have made a difference in the community. Thanks, David Mullins. Thanks, Paul Stanton. And I'm going to thank you to like me on Facebook. I'm going to thank you to like me on YouTube. Hit the bell. I put up content all the time. A lot of ETSU stuff, obviously. And finally, also, follow me on Twitter as well as on my Medium page. Until next time, I'm Marky Bilson.